Welcome to Beyond Budget. Today we're reviewing one of the upper mid-range entries in the Latitude family, the Latitude 7000 series. Dell's Latitude lineup has long been the go-to choice for companies and professionals who need machines that can survive years of daily travel, centralized IT management, and strict security requirements. The model we're looking at today is the Latitude 7450, a 2024 iteration of the Latitude 7000 lineup. The main difference between this model and some of the other Latitude 7000 devices we previously reviewed on this channel largely comes down to screen size. In Dell's naming scheme, the second digit typically hints at the display size, so the 4 in 7450 indicates a 14-inch model. Specifically, we're looking at the standard clamshell version of the Latitude 7450. Our review unit is configured with a 14-inch Ultra Extended Graphics Array IPS display, an Intel Core Ultra 7 165U processor, a 32GB LPDDR5X RAM, a 512GB NVMe SSD, and an integrated Intel Arc graphics. In today's review, we'll determine whether this 14-inch model offers good value for the money, who it's actually designed for, and who might want to avoid it. In terms of design and build quality, Dell offers the Latitude 7450 in several chassis formats. There's an ultralight version built from magnesium alloy, a 2-in-1 aluminum convertible, and a more traditional clamshell configuration like the one we're reviewing here. Like most of the Latitude lineup, this model has been tested against the military standard 810H, meaning it's designed to tolerate the drops, vibrations, and temperature variations commonly encountered during travel or daily office use. The ultralight variant swaps aluminum for magnesium and drops the weight to roughly 2.33 pounds or 1.06 kilograms while maintaining the same 17mm thickness profile. The clamshell in our model is, however, a bit heavier with 3.32 pounds or 1.5 kilograms, still competitive to some ultralight laptops. For people who carry their laptops all day, consultants, field sales representatives, or students, the combination of durability and low weight often matters more than flashy design. The hinges are smooth enough to open with one hand, and overall, the machine feels engineered to survive years of airport security trays, commuter bags, and cramped workspaces. The display on our unit is a 14-inch 1920 by 1200 IPS panel running at 60 Hz. Brightness averages around 300 nits, and the anti-glare coating does a good job of keeping reflections under control, so typical office lighting isn't a problem, and working near a window is generally manageable. Direct outdoor sunlight is still challenging, though. Color coverage is where this particular panel shows its limitations, offering roughly 51% of the sRGB color gamut. That's perfectly adequate for spreadsheets, documents, and everyday productivity, but it's not the kind of screen you'd choose for serious photo or video editing. Dell does offer higher quality display options with better brightness and color coverage if you're willing to spend more, but in its base configuration, the display is simply mediocre by 2026 standards. On the positive side, the 16:10 aspect ratio provides extra vertical space compared to older 16:9 screens, which makes scrolling through documents, code, or web pages noticeably more comfortable. The panel also avoids PWM flicker, which helps reduce eye strain during long work sessions. Overall, it's a practical display designed more for readability and efficiency than for vibrant creative work. Connectivity on the Latitude 7450 is solid for a thin business laptop. You get two Thunderbolt 4 USB-C ports that support charging, 40 gigabit data transfer, and DisplayPort output, along with two USB-A 3.2 Gen 1 ports on the right side. There's also a full-size HDMI 2.1 port and a 3.5mm headphone jack. That mix means you can connect legacy accessories like older flash drives or projectors while still supporting modern USB-C docks and external monitors. For professionals who frequently move between meeting rooms, client offices, and home setups, having this variety built in reduces the need for adapters. However, there are a couple of omissions worth noting. There's no SD card reader and no dedicated Ethernet port, which might matter depending on your workflow. Wireless connectivity is up to date though, with support for Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 5.4, so at least on the wireless side, the laptop is well prepared for the future. The keyboard provides comfortable key travel with a quiet, confident feel that works well during long typing sessions, which is exactly what you want if your day involves writing reports or answering emails for hours at a time. The layout is standard business fare, although there's no dedicated numeric keypad because of the compact 14-inch chassis, something people who frequently work with numbers might miss. The arrow keys are also slightly cramped. On the other hand, the trackpad is large and smooth and handles Windows gestures without hesitation. The webcam is a full HD infrared unit with a physical privacy shutter, which has become almost essential for professionals who spend a lot of time on video calls. Audio is handled by four 2.5-watt speakers that produce clear voices for meetings and enough volume for watching videos in a quiet hotel room. None of these features are particularly flashy, but they're clearly tuned for reliability and day-to-day usability. In terms of performance, our configuration uses the Core Ultra 7 165U, which includes 2 performance cores, 8 efficiency cores, and 2 low-power efficiency cores, giving it a total of 12 cores and 14 threads. It's a 15-watt processor designed primarily for efficiency, although it can briefly boost higher when needed. The chip also integrates Intel's NPU, which is intended to accelerate AI-related workloads that are gradually appearing in Windows features like live captions and Copilot tools. Dell offers several processor options for this model. You can choose lower power U-series chips for maximum battery efficiency, or step up to the higher wattage H-series processors if you need more sustained multi-core performance. As you spend more during configuration, you can also upgrade the display, storage, and other components. Compared to previous generation laptops using Intel's 13th generation processors, the Core Ultra 7 165U delivers better efficiency and somewhat stronger multi-core performance in longer workloads. In practical terms, that means multitasking feels smoother when you have dozens of browser tabs, spreadsheets, and PDF documents open at the same time. Everyday office productivity is effortless, lighter development work runs comfortably in most IDEs, and even quick edits in applications like Photoshop or Premiere Pro are manageable. This isn't meant to replace a workstation, but within its price bracket, it offers noticeably more performance headroom than older business laptops while still maintaining good power efficiency. Our unit ships with 32 GB of memory and a 512 GB of NVMe SSD. That's more than enough for most typical business tasks, and for the kind of workloads this laptop is designed to handle, 32 GB is already a very comfortable amount. Dell does offer configurations with up to 64 GB of RAM and as much as 2 TB of storage, but the price increases quickly at that point. For the kind of workload this laptop is intended for, it makes more sense to stick with 32 GB of memory and invest the extra money elsewhere. In terms of upgradability, the Latitude 7450 follows the typical design philosophy of thin business laptops. The low-powered DDR5X RAM is soldered directly to the motherboard and cannot be upgraded after purchase, so you need to choose your memory configuration carefully from the start. Storage is more flexible. The laptop includes a single M.2 PCIe Gen 4 slot, which means you can replace the SSD later if you need more capacity. Having only one slot does limit flexibility compared to larger laptops with dual drives, but for most users it's still adequate. Graphics duties are handled by the integrated Intel Arc GPU, specifically the 4-core version included in the U-series chips. For casual esports titles at 1080p and low settings, games like Counter-Strike 2 or Valorant are playable, but this is clearly not intended to be a gaming laptop. Where the integrated Arc graphics actually help more is in creative workloads. Combined with Intel's media engine and the onboard NPU, the system can accelerate certain video and photo processing tasks. It's still not designed for serious 3D modeling or heavy 4K editing though. If your work requires that level of graphical power, Dell's Precision Workstation line would be the more appropriate option. Battery life is one of the quieter strengths of the Latitude 7450. The 57 watt-hour battery delivers around 10 to 12 hours of mixed office use, including documents, browser tabs, and occasional video calls depending on brightness and power settings. Video playback comes in at roughly 11 hours at moderate brightness. Heavier workloads reduce that figure to about 7 to 8 hours, which is still respectable for a thin 14-inch business laptop. The included 65-watt USB-C charger supports Dell's Express Charge feature, allowing the battery to regain a useful amount of charge in around half an hour if you need a quick top-up. Cooling is handled by a single fan and heat pipe system that stays very quiet during everyday tasks. Under heavier workloads, the fan does become audible, but it never reaches the high-pitched noise levels some thin laptops produce. Surface temperatures on the keyboard and palm rests remain comfortable, which means you can easily use the laptop on your lap for extended periods. Dell clearly tuned the system to prioritize comfort and efficiency rather than pushing the processor to maximum performance. Looking at the overall picture, the Latitude 7450 has several clear strengths. Build quality and portability are excellent, the port selection is practical for real-world work, the keyboard and trackpad are comfortable, and battery life is strong for the category. Performance is efficient and modern, with hardware support for emerging AI features. On the downside, the soldered RAM limits future upgrade options, the base display's color coverage isn't ideal for creative professionals, and the single storage slot reduces long-term expandability. These compromises are fairly typical for thin business laptops, but they're still worth considering depending on your needs. The Latitude 7450 makes the most sense for students in business or engineering programs, office professionals who spend their day in Microsoft 365 and Teams, developers working on lighter projects, and small business owners who need a reliable and secure machine. It's also a strong choice for consultants and field workers who prioritize portability, battery life, and durability over flashy specifications. On the other hand, it's not the best option if you require a highly color-accurate display for design work, a dedicated GPU for demanding creative tasks, or a laptop with fully user-upgradable memory. Thanks for watching. If you found this review useful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to Beyond Budget for more clear-eyed tech analysis focused on value, and I'll see you in the next one.